0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello, my lovely babes, and welcome back to another episode of the Butt Babes podcast. Again, I will always say this, we love and appreciate all the love and support you've been giving to us. We love it so much. It keeps us going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really been awesome. Hi, everybody. Hi, Shells. How you doing?
Can't complain. I am doing well. I am at peace right now.
Okay, you're not choosing violence.
Not choosing violence. I'm at peace. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you.
Sensing that you wanted to choose violence today?
Oh, no. When do I really choose violence? How often have you seen that, Shells?
That's very true.
You know, not that I'm not capable of it. What's the saying? I'm not a killer, but don't test me or something like that. Not an actual killer, guys, please. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, no. We don't often choose violence unless, like, yes,
it's needed.
Yeah, like, someone really
is
trying
just speaking of someone testing your buttons,
Okay.
or like, do you believe in meeting like this really 10 out of 10 great person, great qualities, everything that you're looking for in a person, but it's just the wrong time? And like, this could be like the fact that perhaps you're not ready to be in a relationship, or there's a situation like your career is taking a success rate and your relationship is on the back burner. Like, do you believe in that saying, oh, right person, wrong time?
Do I actually? I don't know. I've always I'm a firm believer of fate, and what's meant to be yours will always be yours, So even when you meet that right person or the right person at the wrong time, I'm like, you met them, for me personally, I'm like, you've met them when you're supposed to meet them, and you've felt what you needed to feel, and you've connected whichever way that you need to connect at for that particular time. And if it is meant to be and they are meant to be yours and you're meant to be theirs, it will be. There's no factor of like distance, time, and all those types of things. And sometimes, yes, it's right person, wrong time, and then you hear stories of people finding each other like 5 years later, to say, no, actually it was the right place and the right time. It's just that it didn't manifest the way that we wanted it to, or that we expected it to.
Right.
I've heard that from a couple of people, whether they were, moving abroad, or they were already in like situations, or whatever the case is, to be like, yo, wow, you're the perfect person, just like you're the timing, where I'm at in my life, what I'm going through.
It's not.
And I'm going, yeah, look, I'm a very understanding person, sometimes to my own detriment. I can admit that. And yeah, as Michelle takes a deep breath as she breathes through what I've just said, because she knows, as my friend, we've sat through some things which we could say in hindsight maybe were unnecessary, but no, in the moment we could have said they're unnecessary. In hindsight, it's kind of like, well, character development, even though people are tired of that, but I digress. Back to that, where people will just be like, yeah, no, timing this, I'm going through this. And I'm like, but life doesn't stop, hey? Like lives, and when you're in a relationship with someone, life is still going to life, and you don't go, okay, let's just pause, and then we'll see just now, whatever the case is. So I don't know, I think I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning more towards a no, because I'm a huge believer of what's meant to be yours, or whether it be an experience, a relationship, whatever the case may be, will be yours irrespective. Short time, long time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, whenever, yeah.
So you don't believe in that saying of right person, wrong time?
No. I feel like it could be right person in the right time. It's just that wrong time to have a relationship, but right
Right.
time. You're meant to meet
Meet
that
them.
person at that point in time. You're
Yes.
supposed to engage, connect, feel, vibe, and all those things. It's not going to happen because it's not meant to happen. And if it is meant to happen, it will happen, just maybe not at the time that you're wanting it to happen.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, so
No, I agree
I
with
hope, I don't know
you.
if that makes sense.
I agree with you. I have always been that person that doesn't believe that you can meet the right person at the wrong time. Because if they say it to you and say, like, you're so awesome, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, this could have been so beautiful, but just right now is not a good time. Like, my response is always like, then I'm not the right person for you in
Yeah,
this point in time. And
100%.
it's really okay. Like, I think people keep painting this picture, trying to romanticize and make them feel like, make themselves feel better by
Mm,
saying like, you are the right person. It's just the wrong time. I
mm,
just feel like they're trying to let the person down a little bit easier.
mm.
But the reality of it is you are the wrong person
Yeah,
because it if I was the right person, this will be the right time.
I wouldn't question it.
Doesn't matter your circumstance. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what things you're going through right now. If I'm the right person for you, this is the right time. It doesn't matter if the person lives across the country. It doesn't matter if this person is so career focused right now. If you're the right person, you become a priority. You will find a way to
To
make
make it work.
100%.
And I'm a firm believer of people just grabbing that with both hands, because you realize that that kind of connection and bond just doesn't waltz into your life every other day or
Mm-hmm.
every other month or every other year. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So if that person is your person, and I just feel like, man, it's on another level. You can't, like you said, like you can't deny it. You
Yeah.
will work around it. If it means that,
Exactly.
look, you say you're immigrating in the next 6 months, well, let's
Let's
go to the
let's
drawing
make a
board.
plan.
Let's make a plan.
Let's make
Let's
a
see
plan.
how we power through, we make it work. And I think we know of success stories around that, where people are like, look, we just both knew that we were each other's people. Anything beyond that, we didn't know, we didn't have control over, but we were like, we're going to navigate through it, and they've made it through that.
Exactly. And you mentioned earlier about like, you can meet someone, but this might not necessarily be like the relationship person for you,
Mm,
but definitely you had to meet this person because one, character development, learning your lovely lessons from this person, or you teaching someone a lesson.
mm,
Because I feel like I was in a situation where, like, I knew from the word go, like, perhaps me and this person, like, we weren't going to work out. And I just knew that I was put into this person's life to make this person realize there are good people out there. You can open yourself up. You can, learn to love people again. You can trust other people.
mm,
Like, it's okay. You
mm.
don't have to have your guards up all the time. And I knew my role in that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, that is just it.
Look, and I mean, when we're talking about the right person and the incorrect time as well, I'm also like, my notion and my thinking is, when you're grabbing things with both hands in that moment, right?
Mm,
Does it also mean that, okay, fine, now we walk down the aisle and we're going to get married now, and whatever the case may be? Sometimes it's a matter of acknowledging that that connection and that bond is there. And
mm-hmm.
also keeping in mind, humans are very fickle. We are very fickle as human beings. And I think as we now chopping it up, and I remember Michelle, like, mentioned the topic literally just before she pressed record, because we don't like sit and like pre-prepare and like whatever not. We really just love the organic flow of, our podcast. But as we're chopping it up now, I'm like, oh, but like now, isn't that like a little bit, not hypocritical, but I'm thinking about the couples that I do know where they then kind of solidified things years later, but them meeting and them being in each other's lives was for a reason, and that reason was to aid the future that they end up having. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Because you also get those situations where Think about people that one person is in a relationship and others aren't. And I'm thinking about this one particular couple. I remember when they were telling me, it's actually one of my cousin's friends. And I asked her and I was like, how did you meet your husband? It's like, funny enough, I met my husband and he was in a situation or whatever the case may be. They weren't really like happy or healthy or anything like that, but when we both met each other, it's almost like we knew we were each other's people because there was just like a deeper connection that we both just didn't understand, that they'd never really kind of felt.
Right.
And what this person evoked out of that person and what they evoked out of this person was just very different. And then a couple of years later, they got married and they've got 2 kids. You know what I mean? So yeah, like timing thing, and humans feel like we feel like sometimes feel like we own time, and time we don't. That's the one thing in life that we don't have control over. And sometimes we can steer it in terms of the decisions that we make and where we're at in those moments. But honestly, like sometimes we also have our own shit that we need to power through and work through. And if I'm not vulnerable or comfortable vulnerability as we do, Melo, and I meet you, Michelle, and you're like the love, we're each other's love of each other's lives, but like I've never even been that open and vulnerable with myself and admitting certain things. What more someone else that I'm feeling such a connection with and that I've just expressed and gone through quite a few with them, and they've seen sides of me that were like not so pretty that maybe only my friends know or only my family know. Maybe they don't even know, but they've seen that. And yeah, there's just like a whole mess. And then a little while later, you come back together and you're going, it makes sense. I met you at the perfect time. There was a reason behind it. It's just that it wasn't going to pan out at that particular time, but it's meant to pan out. That I'm still a firm believer, which I think still speaks to what I'm saying, where I'm like, you meet who you meet, and if that person is part and parcel of your future and um, you building towards, a life that you deserve and that you want, it's not going to happen on your watch and the way. And that's the problem sometimes, the toxic traits that sometimes I feel like as people, as women, because we are both women and, we can, maybe relate to certain things that we have is like that instant gratification. We want things to just happen now and be perfect now. We want to understand certain things now. No, I need to get over myself now. I need to quickly heal now, otherwise I'm going to lose this person. Or that person needs to get over their own stuff now so that we can just make this happen instead of going, let's actually grow, But people meeting and connecting and experiencing certain things, I honestly don't think that that is ever by mistake. And sometimes it does inform the future and a point of reference of growth and all those types of things. And sometimes it is just isolated in terms of that particular experience. And sometimes we just avoid it in not wanting to kind of understand it deeper. And sometimes it's just not that even that deep, So I don't think there's like, yeah. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you are making sense. I just don't agree with you.
No, that's fine. I mean,
no, but I agree with certain things that you're saying. But going back to what you're saying, like everyone is so different.
Yeah.
Everyone is so different in their own healing process, in their own beliefs as well, right? Like that also influences how they have an outlook on their relationship and all of that. So yes, I agree with you. There are a couple people who say now they meet someone now, might not work out now, but in a few years' time, maybe in a few months' time, it works out.
Yeah.
But with me, particularly in me, and this is like my opinion.
Yeah.
If we didn't work out now, I don't think it's going to work out later either. Because say now, for example, right now, XYZ reasons inhibited us from flourishing this relationship, right? And it could be anything. It could be the way this person sleeps, they snore, it's a very dumb reason, but like,
no, it's a real thing, friend.
yeah,
There's like, there's snoring, guys. There's snoring. We're like, okay, I know,
Yeah,
rough day, rough night, whatever the case.
yeah,
Then there's tractor, like
yeah.
earplug. Yo, that's
Levels.
trauma. Anyway, sorry.
But
Yeah.
like say now, whatever
Yeah.
reasons it didn't work out, I feel that in the future, you know, it can still be brought up again, and it might be things that both parties just haven't looked past. So say now, if you're someone who doesn't listen very well,
Mm,
you know, it just goes in one ear, out the other. Like you're not comprehending what I'm telling you, and that's a problem right now.
mm.
A few years' time, I have a feeling that may come up.
What if
But
that's not the case? So now what I'm saying now,
yeah,
and sorry to interject there, but I'm hoping that as you elaborate, like you maybe speak to this. But now, for instance, the Michelle that I met when I met you and Michelle now has grown so much,
yeah,
to a point where there's certain things that I don't even think you would have been more open to back then that you are now, purely because of your growth and your own healings and your own investing in yourself and all those types of things, because now you've also taken the time to meet yourself that deeply,
yeah.
you know, what happens then in situations where both parties, or maybe the one party, or whatever the case is, did do a bit of work and all those types of things, and then you kind of reunite. I mean, there's plenty of people where I know that has been the case, where it's like, yeah, no, bruh, this person was going through. In that instance, going back to what you're saying, are you saying that's also that's not possible, or for you personally, there's no room for that, or like it doesn't make sense, or where you at?
My answer is that is good for them, that they've grown
Yeah,
as
that's
a
I'm like for
person.
you.
For
Yeah.
me,
Mm,
again, my answer is good for the person that I was with, good for you for growing. I'm not taking you back,
mm,
right? Like, even if you have changed to be the best communicator, the best person, you've healed, you whatever, I'm not taking you back.
look, from an
Purely
yeah,
because if you couldn't do that with me when I met you, and this is like, I'm being very like strict about this.
yeah, no, for sure.
I'm being very rigid. I'm not having like leeways, like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm saying this is purely because when I'm with you, there's a certain kind of standard I set where I know we're not perfect. I know we're probably going to grow
Mm,
in this relationship, and I want to grow with you.
yeah.
It's also your choice whether you want to join this journey with me. And if it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. Then we grow, we live, whatever. But my standard is I put so much work in myself. I want to be with someone who is willing to grow with me through the shitty times, through the good times, and all of that.
Mm,
Because that's how, like, you get to also know your partner, right? By
would
going
never
through
stop.
by going through these things.
Mm,
And I'm just that person where I'm just like, if it didn't work out now, I don't believe it's going to work out in the future. And that is just my own rules for myself,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Everyone is different. Like, I do not judge people who say now after a few years they rekindle their love and this is their happy story and it works out. I'm fine with that. That's their choice. But for myself,
Yeah.
I have set that standard where it's like, even if the person does a 360 and they are not toxic anymore and they are like this best person, like whatever,
Mm,
I won't take them back purely because I'm like, that chapter's closed.
mm.
I'm going to move forward because I want to go, like, I don't want to take a step back, and not in a bad way,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
in a
yeah,
bad
yeah,
sense
yeah,
of like,
yeah.
oh, I'm taking like a few steps back and this means like my life is bad. No, it's just I believe in just keep going forward, right? Like, I meet you,
Yeah.
it didn't work out, fine. A few years down the line, you've become this person, blah, blah, blah. Good for you. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But no.
So now my thing is, I was talking about it from a people meeting and connecting. I feel like now you're talking about it from being like an official girlfriend boyfriend
No.
situation. No, in an official girlfriend
Hmm.
boyfriend situation, I'm not going back. I'm
I
not a backseas person. And I actually there. That's why when you were talking, I'm like, oh no. In that instance, yeah, no, I'm
I
not
feel
a.
like
We can be on good terms. We can be look. We can chat. We can
yeah.
whatever. But going back and from a breakup perspective, because once I make that decision that it's done, or once we make that decision that it's done, it's done.
Hmm.
I'm saying from I was speaking initially from you know, you literally connect, you vibe, you bond with someone, and yeah, maybe either particular thing happens or distance happens, or life circumstances kind of shift and change,
Hmm.
that kind of cause a little bit of that drift, but you were not like officially dating, whatever. Not for me personally, from a unofficial thing where you're getting to know someone, experiencing things or whatever, not, but from an official relationship. And I think, I don't think there's any
Hmm.
person that I've dated or that I've been with where I'm like, oh gosh, I'm thinking I'm gonna go back. No. When the door's closed, like, it's been real. I've learned. Hopefully you also learned and grown where you need to grow. We move. But from a meeting and connection and vibe and
I don't
circumstances don't
know.
align,
I don't know.
I feel like there it can come, for me personally, I feel like there it can come, you know, full circle
I
a bit.
I don't know because for me, like even if it's unofficial, like it's just a situationship, right? You're getting to know the person and blah blah. Like I'd put 110% getting to know someone. I'm not putting like a 20% in. I firmly believe like if you want to get to know someone, you put your whole heart and soul into doing something. When you start a business, you put your whole heart and soul into it. When you want to, you know, connect with someone, you put your whole heart and soul. Yes, you're scared of getting hurt. Yes, you're scared of people lying to you, whatever. But that's a risk you take when you do these things. There's always going to be some risk.
Mm.
And I feel like we all know that as much
And
as
how
it's,
realistic is it as a friend? Because I'm like, that sounds good and great. But
yeah,
from a
but,
human experience perspective, how many of us as human beings actually just,
but it's
let our
painful.
head
But
down
it's,
and just go, you know what? Effort, let's jump in. A lot of humans don't. Most times, in most situations and cases, people don't, because you're
mm,
held back by, you know, friends' opinions, family opinions, or you're
mm,
held back by your own kind of internal battle. You're held back by a bit of your own hurt and pain in the past and
yeah.
traumas,
But I'm
you
not
know,
speaking
and then
about
we
other people.
sabotage.
I'm speaking about purely like myself. Like
Yeah,
everyone else obviously comes, like I'm just speaking from my perspective.
yeah.
Everyone obviously has their own way of like doing things because you will meet someone who literally will only give you 10%
Mm,
until they fully, truly like feel, okay, we've gone through this. You actually
yeah.
get me. Then they
Mm.
start like bring it down. Then they start giving you 20%. Then they start giving you 50%. Like I feel like that's more of a normal trait, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But from my perspective,
Mm.
like I'm someone who is like, if I'm getting to know you and I feel like you are a good potential for me, I'm 100% putting 110% in because that's just how I deal with things,
And
right?
do you tell people that,
100%.
like, from the get go? Be like, listen. So is there that communication and clarity
So,
on your side? Because sometimes we don't do that as I'm just saying from a general human perspective. That we have that in our minds and we have that idea and whatever, but
mm,
in practicality and how we move, it
mm.
doesn't translate. It translates here, but it doesn't translate in terms of. So for you, how do you?
When I like when you have that first interaction when you speak to someone, you're still
Mm,
sussing your vibes
mm,
out, right? You're still
mm,
like yes or no, right? And then once you kind of get a little bit of a vibe of like what's this person like and blah blah, you kind of get a feel of okay, let's try it out. And then you go, and I will tell the person when I know for sure, and it's like majority of the time it's like early stages. I'll sit them down and I'll be like, hey, I just want to let you know this is where I'm at. This is
mm,
what I'm feeling. This is how I view this thing. I don't expect you to be on the same
mm,
page
mm, mm, mm.
because
You're your own
you're
person.
exactly,
Yeah.
you're not me, right? This is just how I am. I'm only explaining this to you so that when you hear me say certain things or do certain things, you can understand why I'm doing it. Because maybe one, I care a lot about a certain aspect, or this thing triggers me because in my previous relationship, this was something that really
Mm,
hurt me, you know.
mm.
I truly believe in open communication. I'm someone like
It's key.
had to learn. Like this isn't something that I was like, yeah, I've been doing it for years, guys. Like it's something I had to learn where you can't keep pushing shit under the rug. Like
No, because it piles up.
exactly.
It
Then
piles
you're gonna
up.
trip over it. Then it's
Yeah,
like
then it's a dust cloud and all those types of things.
problematic. Like I've learned my lesson. Let me
Yeah.
say it like that. Like, you know, when you have things in life and you're like, okay, I actually tried. It's not even a sense of like I'm just talking shit out of my ass and saying like,
Yeah.
well, I didn't try it, but I know it's not for me. I literally did it because at that time I was like, maybe right person, wrong time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
gave this person a chance. And I'm like, you know what? How I felt a couple of years ago, I kind of feel right now. And I think this is why I'm saying so confidently to you,
Okay.
where I'm
And that's the
saying,
off-air conversation that we'll have. Okay, because now, because
where
as you're
I'm
talking, my
saying,
heart was racing. I'm like,
what is
okay,
going on?
what's going on? Like, I think we do
Yeah,
need to have like a bit of a DMC
yeah,
because it kind of, okay, it makes sense.
yes.
It makes sense.
That's why I could
The
sit
stop,
here
I hear
where
you.
I'm
To be
like,
like, no, I gave it. Okay, so can I
yes,
paint a picture just from what I'm understanding from you and
sure.
whoever's listening as well? So you're saying from a fair enough situationship that wasn't as clear and had its back and forth, you go back
Mm,
and then you're like, no, let me give it a proper solid chance. After that proper solid chance, not going back, you're saying. Like from
yes,
that proper solid chance, not going back. That makes sense. That's fair
yeah,
game. I mean,
yeah,
after that, then really you'd be trying to really be grasping at straws because now you were like, opportunity came, it was like that, then not sure how.
and
Gave it a solid
yeah,
chance, like proper full on clarity conversation.
yes,
This is what I did like, this is where I'm at now. Back then, this is and this. We give it a shot. After that, yeah, no. You're just going now making like a proper informed decision to be like, not going back.
correct.
That makes sense.
This is why I say when
Makes sense.
you were saying and explaining all this, I was like, babes,
But
babes.
vibes.
Like I can confidently sit here and say to you, well, I'm so happy for these people. Like good for them, but it's not for me. I think also, particularly my opinion,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And just my ways and all of that stuff. Like, listen, my way is not always everyone's way, so I'm just putting a disclaimer
It
out here.
doesn't have to be.
Don't do what's best for you, right?
Hmm.
But
And
what
also,
I'm
it's
trying
okay to
to
change your mind as well, because
100%.
people do. Life experiences
And
shift
honestly,
us.
good for you if you can meet someone now and then in a few years' time it works out, it's your end person. Good for you. Like, I'm
Hmm.
glad it works out. Like, that is your storyline. That is what's written for you. But, like, for me, and I spoke to one of my friends about this, and I was like telling them about this whole situation. And as I started this whole story, this person kept bringing up, they were like, but this isn't like what you would normally do.
Hmm.
So, like, I was kind of like breaking my own rules. You know, when you have your, like,
Yeah.
this is my standard, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I was like kind of going and breaking my own rules. And now when I'm in that situation where I realize, like, actually, this is not what I want, this is not how I see my future to be, then they were
Hmm.
like, but it makes sense because you have always been so staunch about like you wouldn't go back to someone, you wouldn't do certain things. Like, why don't you follow like your own shit kind of
Hmm.
thing, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was like, leave me alone. I tried. Life is all about experiences, trial and
It
error.
really is.
And
It really is.
this is why I can sit here confidently and say, look, I tried, you know,
Yeah.
and it didn't work out. And
And that's
yeah,
okay.
it's sad. Like, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
it's disappointing because again, I do put in 110%. Like
Yeah,
that is my
we are those people.
my life story, is that whatever you
We
do,
don't
put your
half-ass things.
exactly, you put
Yeah.
your whole heart and soul into it, because that's when you really see something thrive and flourish, you know.
Mm,
If you do something half-assed and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted, like there is a reason why it didn't turn out the way you wanted, because you didn't have faith in it. You didn't, do you know what I
mm,
mean? You shut it down because you didn't believe in yourself, essentially,
mm,
you know. So like when I went into, like, with any relationship, like I want to put 110% in, because I want to know that I'm putting my authentic self forward, and if you feel like that's not for you, that's also okay, but it is hurtful.
oh no, it's very
Like
painful,
it is that
especially for
rejection of like,
yeah,
oh man, maybe I'm not good enough for you or whatever.
yeah,
But I want to tell people out there, like, you're more than enough. Because as much as
have
we
it
go
in it.
into that like dark space and think like, why doesn't this person choose me, or whatever the case may be, like why isn't a good person coming into my life right now? Like you are enough. This is obviously just not your time right now, but your time will come, you know?
Mm, mm,
And that's also stuff I remind myself constantly, where it's
mm.
like, it's okay. You don't always have to click with every single person. Yes, I'm a people's pleaser. Yes, I want everyone to like me. But
We're not
in
pizza or
life,
tequila, friend.
here we go. Here we go, babes. Like, we're not.
No, we're not.
We're really not.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, like I said, it's disappointing, it's hurtful, but you get, you build yourself up again. And that's the important thing, is to pick yourself up again.
Extremely,
Mm,
extremely important. And look, I think the biggest classroom is this life thing. You know, I think there's so many things that now, and it is nearing my birthday, and I always go through quite a reflective month before, and things will happen in my life where I'll sit and reflect, where I'm like, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have done this. I would like this was a non-negotiable. This is this and this and this and
mm,
this.
mm,
Little did I know that I was hindering and holding myself back
mm,
and giving access to a whole lot of unhealthy things. Now that I had taken like those good couple of years of building a good and healthy relationship with myself, preparing for what it is that I want to come into my space. You know what I
right.
mean? Because I feel like sometimes we put so much pressure on other people to fulfill so many things that we need to first fulfill for ourselves, and I think maybe subconsciously, in certain relationships, more friendships really, I did that in the past, but then I was like, no, man, I need to come back and be like, if I really want a good and healthy and open and transparent relationship, I need to have that with myself first before expecting the next
Mm,
person to go the
100%.
extra mile, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to those types of things. And I think the one thing, like the saying goes, if you want to make God laugh, tell him, what you want and how things will go. And I think even with the topic that we're talking about, it was our personal experiences. And I'm sure people watching, I'd really be interested to find out your thoughts, your comments, your questions, maybe with regards to this particular topic, because, life happens and situations happen. And sometimes, we hold ourselves so much accountable to certain decisions where we they're not too scared to give ourselves permission to make a different decision at that point in our lives, that then sometimes deprives us or holds us
Mm,
back,
mm,
like from a people pleasing perspective,
mm.
where when it becomes so difficult to have boundaries because of now you're holding on to be like, oh, but I've never wanted to say no to people, or I've never wanted to see people be sad on my watch. But now you are going to have to put boundaries in place, and you're going to have to now get used to having to disappoint people
Exactly.
because you're putting yourself forward
Mm.
and you're putting yourself first. If someone had asked you that 7, 8 years ago, you'd be like,
Very
hell no.
different.
That's why I'm like, as humans and life, I guess we evolve and we grow. And I'm all for having staunch decisions at that point in time. And I always say to people, I'm like, that's how I feel now. I don't know in a couple of years' time. But right now, from my chest, the top, like the highest mountain, that's where I'm at. I'm sticking to it. My guns, my belief works for me at this particular point. And if it changes, it changes, and if it doesn't, then at least that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Mm.
Type of a thing. So I think, yeah, going back to perfect person, wrong timing. And I know it would be interesting to find out from people that have like the opposite
Approach,
view
yeah.
and perspective, because I feel
Mm.
like ours it's different but very similar, like in terms
Mm.
of just core points.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's a very interesting one.
I listen, you know the people who are for it, like
Yeah.
they do believe that they can meet the right person at the wrong time.
Mm-mm.
Like I understand their reasoning.
Really, what are some of the reasonings that you come across?
Like a lot of people meet like their Mr. Right,
Mm.
right? Has good ambition, has determination, they know what they're doing with their lives,
Aspirations,
you
yeah.
know, they have good family values, they're loyal, blah, blah, but they're just not ready for a relationship right now because they're
Mm-hmm.
so focused on other external things at that moment in
Mm-hmm.
time. So they can't accommodate a relationship, right?
Mm.
So a lot of people like like hold on to the fact that this person is so nice, so great, and all of that stuff. But then I kind of tell them, and sometimes I feel like this person who crushes their dreams,
Yeah,
right?
like, sorry, sir.
But I'm like,
Well, sir.
this person is all good and great, right? They have everything, right? But they can't commit to a relationship right now, which is fine. That's their reasons. Like, it's okay. But if they were really this amazing, like, wouldn't it have worked out? Wouldn't they try and prioritize if they felt the same way about you?
Friend, we also need to look at it from like a capacity perspective, hey?
No, for sure.
I'm thinking now of like married couples, that hit a bit of a dip. Some of the married and the couples that sometimes I do see, and some of the married friends that I have, when there is like that dip and whatever, where you're hearing couples going, I've now had to learn my wife's capacity at particular points in time that
Mm,
they can't show up for me in the way that I expect, but I've also had to learn that I need to word my expectations.
mm,
And then I've come across people going, I've really met a phenomenal person, and right now, what I know that they deserve and that I should be giving to them, I need to first adjust and learn how to give that to myself. Once I'm good and ready, then I can be a
mm,
healthy version for that person. So
mm.
now, if you miss out at that particular time, because you've met now the right person, if you miss out from that particular timing, does that mean that then it's null and void? And if
But
that's meant to be your person, because that's also another thing that are we telling the universe and our higher power or higher powers, whatever it is that you kind of, align to be like, I'm deserving of a good and amazing person. And they bring them to you, but it's the same person that wasn't as maybe great or wasn't in the greatest space then, but they are now. And they're going, but I'm gifting you that. And now you're going to be like, no, this is how I wanted, and this is when I wanted, and this is what it must sound like, and it must look like, and it must, like,
but you also
where
can't
do we have
expect.
control, and where do we then leave it to fate and how things are going to roll out the way
Mm.
that they're meant to roll out? Because we don't have control over
No,
how
we
things are meant
don't.
to roll out.
But I just feel like depending on where you are in your life right now,
There.
like you make your decision. You make your decision where are you willing to wait for this person or not? And
Mm,
even if you are willing to wait for the person, is that person willing to wait for you?
mm,
Do you know what
mm.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, you might be the right person right now, and they can move on and find another Mrs. Right, another Mr. Right.
Mm.
Like, they can move on with their lives. And then when they have built and grown to this beautiful person that you want them to be, and they are in the capacity of building a
What
relationship
if they
with
don't
someone,
date anyone during that time?
that's also their choice. But I'm just saying people also move on because you also
Mm.
can't expect someone to wait for
No
you
way. I don't
for
know.
the right time to come.
Would you ever ask anyone to wait, or
No,
has anyone ever asked you to wait?
I don't think people would do.
Linda, I'm like, you're the lever that you must have. I'm like, I don't know, hey,
And
I
I
don't think
wouldn't.
it's fair.
It's not fair.
There's no way that
You
that's
can't
fair.
you can't stop someone from living their life.
Mm,
So this is also why I'm saying, like, it's all good and great. The person might change and be a better person, but you could be in a completely different space. You could have
mm,
moved on already. So is that person really your right person at the wrong time? For
yeah,
sure. I want people, if you can, to also comment about
please.
your opinions about meeting the right person at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Let us
It would
know.
really, really be lovely to hear. And even if you write a little essay, that's fine. And if you've got any kind of questions as well, that would be quite nice to hear those. But yeah, that was quite an interesting one. Like, got me like thinking, but also just reaffirmed and like reminded me of quite a few things as well.
And we will catch you in the next episode.
Yes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, please.
Alrighty. Bye.